You're listening to the Get Meal Prep Show, a podcast about meal planning strategies that help you positively nourish your body, learn about nutrition, and most importantly, get dinner on the table. You know that this is a podcast for you if you've ever thought, oh no, it's 3 o'clock and I have no idea what's for dinner. We dive deep into meal planning methods and meal planning strategies that help you prepare healthy home-cooked meals that don't leave you feeling like you're tied down to the kitchen. I'm your host, Susan Watson, registered dietitian, certified intuitive eating counselor, and meal planning strategist for the online course Get Meal Prepped. My co-host, Andrea Hardy, is a registered dietitian, and she helps people improve their digestion and gut health with a focus of also helping people improve their relationship with food. Together, we have formed the Get Meal Prep method that helps people improve their eating habits by cooking whole foods and not relying all the time on convenience food products. Aside from our online course, you can work with us via our one-on-one coaching services. You can find links to our packages in the show notes below this recording. We're so happy to have you here today and share this episode with you. If you've liked this episode, please subscribe to the Get Meal Prep Show on iTunes and leave a rating and a review. It might not seem really important, but your review can make a big impact and help us continue to deliver amazing content that keeps bringing you the best meal planning strategies so that you can be the healthiest you ever. It's super easy to leave a review. You can leave a review from your podcast app. Simply search the Get Meal Prep Show, click reviews, then write a review. We would love to hear from you. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Get Meal Prep Show. We are into season number 2, episode number 1, and we're doing things a little bit differently in today's episode. Today's episode is a recording of a live webinar that we did in August, and it's a little bit different because we had showed up and we were talking to the audience with them being able to pop in and have a live Q&A. So hopefully it makes sense. It's trying something new, and we did have Andrea's office cleaner pop in at the end of the workshop, so there's a little bit of a glitch there. But anyways, I hope it makes sense, and we look forward to getting into it today. We're just going to start with the introduction. My name is Susan Watson, and I am a owner of a private practice clinic called A Little Nutrition here in Manitoba. And this is Andrea Hardy, and she runs Ignite Nutrition Inc. in Alberta, based in Calgary. And we co-own and we co-founded Nutrition Academy, and that's where we have online courses, and specifically our signature course called the Get Meal Prepped. So I just wanted to welcome everybody and thank you for coming out today. We're really excited about our workshop. We're going to talk about 5 reasons why September is the perfect time to meet with a dietitian. So thanks for showing up, and we're really glad to have you. So today we're going to be looking again at why September is the perfect time to start making health changes. So in fact, we feel that September is a better time to start making health changes than any time during the year. So I don't know about you, Andrea, but I always get a sense of renewed energy when September rolls around. How about you?
For sure. September is my month to get going. Compared to January, I am far more motivated. Summer has wrapped up. I'm re-energized, just like you. And I'm really excited to be working on a lot of great things.
Well, I don't think I noticed it so much when I lived out in the West Coast. I lived in Vancouver for my growing up years. But when I moved to the prairies, I really noticed a big difference because we actually have a lot of marked seasons. So when the fall comes and it ends and the winter hits, it starts, like you really kind of feel a start and finish. It's very black and white. So I think like right now, as the summer is coming to an end, I feel like the busyness of the summer is wrapping up, and I'm getting ready for getting back into routine for the fall. And that feels like I've got this extrinsic motivation to get started on some projects and even just make some changes myself. So, what do you think about this? Like, Andrea, are you doing any sort of thinking about changes or, this time of year?
There's something so different about September to me. I don't know if it's the weather in January or that people tend to look for quick fixes and fads in January as opposed to September. Like you had said, to me, it's more about building new habits and doing new things that I can, use to make my life easier, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
like that January goal of whatever people set that's lofty. This is more about, that long-term action, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
love September for sitting
Mm-hmm.
down, setting goals, and getting ready to make some really good changes.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Um, I'm personally getting very excited about this back to school routine for my kids. So I have two girls, they're 6 and 8, and this summer I decided to take what I call a modified mat leave. I never took mat leave running a private practice when I had my girls. I just kind of had my kids and kept going. So now that they're a bit older, I decided to take some time off this summer and spend time with them while they're out of school. And it's been fun 8 weeks, but I also feel like I am ready to get back into routine. I'm ready for them to go back to school. I'm ready to get back to work. And I'm really excited about getting back into that routine because sometimes even the routine becomes mundane. It really helps with being able to stick to health changes and health goals when you have something kind of set and you have a plan. So it's like September brings this positive state of mind, and that makes getting back into routine a little bit easier than, January or, some random time of the year. I think that, you know, um, January, there's a lot of pressure, and there isn't really much like routine other than maybe like after you've got all the people that maybe came to visit you for holidays out of the house. But
Mhm.
yeah, what do you find that just in general it's a little bit busier for you with clients actually in September when it comes to making health changes versus January or any other time of the year?
Yeah, I'd say the mindset is different in September. And I think you nailed it when you said the word routine.
Mm.
People just want to get on track with a routine. Whereas in January, it tends to be those lofty big goals that you set with everybody. And I mean, the stats are pretty bad in terms of sticking to New Year's resolutions. But let me tell you, I find when I build in a routine in September, I stick to it quite well. And when I don't
Mhm.
stick to it, I always have a plan in place to kind of reassess and get back on track to actually meet my goals. So
Mhm.
it's just a different vibe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into our workshop here today. So we feel that September or fall is a great time to work on health goals, and we have 5 reasons that we want to share with you regarding habit formation and making changes. After we go over these 5 reasons, we're going to stay online and answer any questions that you have about nutrition, making health changes, our services, or what to expect and maybe what type of results to expect from working with a dietitian. So you can queue up your questions while we're talking, just in the chat box off to the side. And when we're done, we'll answer your questions. So let's get Andrea. You're going to start with number 1.
Yeah, so this one's a big one for me. So with the changing of the seasons and kids getting back to school, psychologist Victoria Plant recommends that we should be harnessing this positive state of mind. And I think with fall weather, we've just had a great summer. This positive state of mind just feels a lot different than January, for example. There's that excitement of back to school. You can't wait to, send the kids back off. And this can result in an increased willingness to make changes, greater productivity, and historically, there may even be a link between harvest time and preparing for winter that makes us more willing to build in that routine and take on those new challenges. If you think about it, January is kind of not the funnest time to
No.
make changes, especially in Canada. Like you're in Winnipeg, I'm in Calgary. January has long, dark days. And when I get home from work, I'm not motivated to make as many changes in January. Our energy levels are low.
Mhm.
Don't they call it like blue January or
Yeah, seasonal depression.
seasonal depression? We
Yeah.
need that sun. Whereas in September, the days are cooler, but the sun is still out. You can see the beautiful leaves on the trees. And it just feels better from a motivational perspective because of that positive state of mind.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, we get very, very dark days in January, and it definitely doesn't feel very motivating versus right now it's still pretty good. Other than today, it's kind of rainy.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Oh,
Oh,
go on.
I was just gonna say, like, coming to see a dietitian when it's still light out, I find our
Yes.
patients keep a lot more appointments
Yes.
when there is still sunshine out, as opposed to like driving home in the snow. It's way
Yes.
easier to drive and see your dietitian when it's not snowing out and it's still
Yes.
sunny.
Yes, absolutely. So, number two, let's talk about, mastering your health in time for the holidays. So, this is really big. So, when everyone is just getting started, say in January, if you start now, you'll actually have started to see those results well before anybody else. Plus, you'll be able to protect yourself from getting caught up in diet culture and jumping on the next new fad diet because there's always going to be one. That's just our culture. So if you start plugging away right now at forming new health habits, you'll better be able to manage the holidays and not just check out because, you'll start again in January. You'll actually be able to handle those difficult office parties and social get-togethers without deprivation and then ultimately overeating and then having those feelings of guilt. That time when you knew you're going for a big holiday dinner and you decided to be good, in quotes, and not eat all day and then get there and be really biologically hungry, which is normal, but then overeat and then feel sick and then maybe guilty after that. So, if you start working on those changes right now so that you are able to look at your health behaviors and make those changes and get in control of your eating and learn how to nourish your body properly without getting into that restrict and binge cycle, this is the time now when there's no pressure because when the holidays come around, there's so many different events that it's very easy to just say, oh, I'll just wait until January and get started then when there's no pressure. But the reality is there's always going to be pressures. There's always going to be those situations. And this is just a good time of year to go ahead and start working on those health changes.
Yeah, I definitely see like starting right before Thanksgiving when the family gatherings start.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I spend the most time working with patients on their food relationship, how they set boundaries with family members around food, how to eat
Mm-hmm.
for parties and social gatherings. Because we
Mm-hmm.
know October to December, because Thanksgiving in Canada is in October, is flat out with parties and gatherings and all of these sorts of food focused events, which is awesome. But if we're distressed by that, then
Yes.
having a plan in place early is a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like the trial
Mhm.
run, right? And really it's just one
Totally.
day or one weekend versus the holidays, which can be almost a month.
For sure.
Okay, so Andrea, number three.
Yeah, so we like to say that September is the pressure off. And that's because in January, what happens? You go out on New Year's Eve, you talk about your New Year's resolutions, you go to the office, everybody's discussing the latest fad diets they're trying, what works, what doesn't. And it becomes this like, really vocal thing of like, oh, I'm on a diet, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and everybody knows your business. Um,
Mhm.
the pressure's off in September. Nobody knows what you're up to or what you're doing. Everybody's kind of nose down and getting back to their routine. According to Forbes.com, the statistics on how many people actually follow through on New Year's resolutions are pretty grim. So
Yeah.
studies have shown that less than 25% of people actually stay committed to their resolutions after just 30 days, and only 8% accomplish them. I don't know about you, but like I feel like my September patience ready to like kick it into gear is way higher than 8%, right? Because
Mm,
it's focused on habit building. It's not focused on these lofty goals that everybody knows about, that you're kind of like feeling a lot of pressure to accomplish. It's
mm,
just a different vibe. There isn't that pressure on social media. There isn't that pressure on the news about all the fad diets coming out. So you can kind of ease into them without any external pressures
mm.
when you're making those nutrition changes in September.
Yeah, and I can think of maybe about like 10 or 15 clients that started with me last September that I'm still seeing, not as frequently, but they started in September and I just know that they didn't fall off track because they started in a time that there wasn't all that pressure and I was able to help them get through the holidays and then we kept going and it wasn't that big New Year's resolution in January. It was like we're just neutral. We're just moving on. We're still working on the same
Mm-hmm.
things and getting better. And then we get through the summer and we meet back again. It's just, yeah, just a easier time, less pressure to get started. So yeah,
Hmm.
September. All right, so number 4, I like to talk about medical insurance because a lot of people don't know that to work with a dietitian, if you have extended medical health benefits, you can actually have coverage to see a dietitian because we're health professionals that are considered on medical health benefit plans. So when it comes to making health behavior changes, we know that 1 or 2 appointments is not going to really get you the results that you want. You're going to want a lot more coaching, one-on-one. And when it comes to using your medical insurance, if you start in January and maybe I'm going to use a random number of $500 a year, you might get 3 or 4 appointments in. Then you're done if you're only using your medical benefits. If you start in September, you can start and get almost a full 6 months of support because you start and you've got your coverage for the fall. And then in January, most insurance plans reset. So then you get that extra coverage again in January. So if you're, tapped for funds and you're wanting to use your medical benefits, or even just take a little bit of the financial burden off of seeing it with a dietitian, the medical benefit is that this is the time to use it, because I know by December it gets to be really, really busy and people are wanting to fit in. They want to go ahead and use up all their insurance in December because you don't use it, you lose it. But then they're just cramming in their appointments. And the benefit of having an appointment and waiting and working on stuff and coming back, it's kind of gone because there's also all the stress of the holidays too. So it's kind of like, this is the time now to think about using up your benefits, not December 15th, which we see all the time, right?
You get those calls and I'm like, sorry, we're booked. And then people are out of luck. And really, I mean, you got to start in September to really get and maximize that benefits plan. I mean, you pay for it through your work premiums, so you may as well use it.
Yeah, and most of our successful clients are ones that have worked with us for more than 3 to 5 sessions. And it really depends on the medical condition or the reasons that they come to see us and the results that they want. But to be totally transparent, unfortunately, we don't have the magic wand that will get you the results and the specific amount of time that you might have, or like, well, you can get XYZ in 3 appointments. I mean, those might be like a Q&A session, but that's about it. If you wanted to make real health behavior change, we're looking at about 5 sessions plus, and not all like in 1 month, right? We're talking about at least 3 to 6 months. So our coaching model is not just to educate. So when you see a dietitian, a lot of the times we're trained as educators, but we want to also educate, but then help you put that education into practice, like actually transform your life and start using that knowledge in a practical way. And it doesn't always work perfect. You might go home and try some advice that we gave you and it didn't work. And instead of just giving up, you have to come back and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work? And then we really revise that plan and keep moving forward. So I think it's that adaptation and also that willingness to go out and literally fail and then come back and say, okay, that didn't work, but why? Okay, I'm going to put a plan in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. So, those are some of the reasons why, if you have insurance, use it now where you have time to space out your appointments versus December trying to cram everything in, and then again a shortened period in the new year. Yeah. Okay, on to number 5.
Yeah, so in September, just inherently, you're going to have better access to the people you actually need to support you on your journey. January is a really busy time for different experts, and so the wait for an appointment time can be way longer than a few weeks. So you might be really highly motivated. Your motivation might be high. You might be ready to go, and then you have to wait till February. And with everyone being on holidays, getting that individual approach might not be as easy as it is in the fall. It feels to me like anyways, everybody's back to work, ready to go, ready to get you on track. So at Ignite, we work a lot with psychologists and physiotherapists and all of these sorts of people that play a really important role in your care. So having that team-based approach can be really effective to make sure you're successful, and having the team members available is for sure key.
Yeah, that would be horrible. January comes around, you're like, yes, I'm ready to go work on my nutrition.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, actually, you can't get started until February. So yes, I mean,
Or December rolls around and you're like, shoot, I got to use up my massage, my physio, my
oh,
dentist, my glasses, and you don't have time to fit all those appointments in, inevitably. You just don't.
yeah, yeah. So this is a good time. Start thinking about that now. Space it out. So those are our 5 tips as to why September is the new January and why September should be a really good time to think about making changes. Just to wrap it up, there's this interesting effect called the fresh start effect. And I want to encourage you to think about using this fresh start effect. So according to this effect, people are more likely to take action towards a goal after a temporal landmark that represents new beginnings. So sometimes we see this with birthdays. When you're ramping up to a birthday, some people want to make change after that, which could be very neutral if it's not around a big holiday like Christmas. But, September, it's a very I guess, a simple way to get started without making a big fuss to the world that you're starting to make changes. And this fresh start effect, it's like turning a new life. When back to school gets started, you can take some time to look at your life and see where you can start making changes. It doesn't have to be September 1st either, right? It could be mid-September, just the fall, sometime in the fall around the season. That might be October for you. So take a few minutes this week and think about what you want to get out of the rest of your year with your health. If you could have a wish list for your health, what would be the top 3 areas that you'd like to make some changes? So are you struggling with a digestive problem that you might be ignoring and suffering through, and maybe think, oh, it's about time to get started on that? Or do you have low energy and know that what you're eating and how you nourish your body might be the culprit? Would you like to finally commit to learning how to implement meal planning so that you're not scrambling to piece together meals that ultimately you're still unsatisfied with? Or do you have food cravings and emotional eating issues that you feel you should probably start to tackle? Maybe learn how to make peace with food or normalize your eating. Well, if this sounds like you, then a dietitian can help. Myself and Andrea and our teams are university degreed medical health care professionals, and we know what you're struggling with. We've seen thousands of clients with these exact problems and help them get the results that they're looking for. So really, now is the time. So,
Sorry.
It's okay. So I've added some free resources. Sorry, I had thought there was something going on with our tech there, but
no,
it's all good.
it was
Okay.
in my office.
Oh, okay, somebody popped in. That happens.
Yeah.
That happens. Sometimes I don't. I haven't had my kids pop in for a while. So let me just back up here. So again, now is the time. We've got a really cool free resource for you. Andrew's going to just pop it up into the webinar here.
Yes.
If you look over to the right,
Oh.
I guess depending on where your screen is. Did it not save?
It did not save, but I will put that in there right.
It's okay. Maybe I have to do it. There we go.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah. If I loaded it, I guess I have to share it. Good to know. So, yeah, if you look off to the side, you should be able to see it says download file, and you can download the PDF, and it's our habit tracker toolkit, and it's based off of a habit tracking idea from Seinfeld, actually. And what you do is you can take some of those health habits that you want to get started on, and maybe they're not anything to do with meeting with a dietitian. Maybe it might just like you want to start walking every day after work. The idea is to write down your goal, write down what you want to do, and then start like a tabulation checklist. And every day that you do it, you give yourself a gold star or a check mark. And then the idea is just not to miss 2 days in a row, because ultimately be something that will come up and you might miss one day. But you want to start this chain and not break the chain twice in a row. So even if you do every other day, that's 50% better than doing nothing at all. So it's a really great tool. I hope you take some time to download it. If you are watching this or listening to this recording as a replay or a workshop on our podcast, then the habit tracking tool will be in the show notes below, and you can just click the link and get it there. So if you would like to work with myself or with Andrea, it's really easy to do, or one of our team members, because we all have different specialty areas. But if you want to work with one of us, you can go to my website. It's www.alittlenutrition.com, or Andrea's website, which is www.ignitenutrition.ca. And in the middle of the page, there'll be a button that says book an appointment. Just go ahead and click that, and that starts the process. If you have any questions as well, you can email myself at Susan@alittlenutrition.com. And Andrea, we want to say your email address.
Yes, it's admin@ignitenutrition.ca.
Yes. And, it's really easy to get connected with us. Just send us an email and we will gladly answer any of your questions about working with us. Andrea, do you have anything else to add to?
No, just good luck writing down your fall habits.
Yes.
The checklist is the best. That visual representation of actually like pen to paper really makes a difference in terms of habit formation. So print it out, check it off. And don't be hard on yourself if you miss a day, but just remember you don't want to miss 2.
Yes. Yeah, because 50% better is every other day is still better than nothing at all, or once a week and then skipping. So, okay, excellent. Did we have any questions in the chat for us today?
We didn't have any pop in yet, but hopefully we'll have some. What habit are you starting for the fall, Susan?
Well, I've started this really, I think you probably know because I've talked about it so much, the Peloton app.
Yes.
And I'll see if I can maybe pull it up on my phone here. But I really love to cycle. And my challenge, again, going out into the world, failing, and then trying to figure out how to do better, was always trying to find a way to exercise consistently. And I've always had a challenge because I've got young kids and I work from home, and it's crazy, and I love cycling, but all the cycle houses that have these fun, amazing classes, they're in the city, which is an hour away from me. And to go for a 1-hour class, it would be 3 hours for me. And I guess I'm just not willing to trade that amount of time for a fitness class. So it's always been hard to find that. And then when I was in Ottawa at our last conference, I discovered this app called Peloton, and it's a stationary bike that has live on-demand classes. So there's ones that are replays, but then there's actual, like, they're showing up live at a certain time that you can join a class online. And if you have their bikes, like, it's connected to their bike, and it's definitely a lot more expensive. I think the bikes are close to $4 or $5 grand, but I have a spin bike at home, and the app is fairly inexpensive. But what I love, I'm going to see if I'll see if I don't know if this is going to show. Okay, so there's the calendar.
Oh,
it's probably backwards, but at the very bottom, it gives me these little, I guess, awards, and then calendar is like my habit tracker. So I take a look at them like, oh, well, I did 5 days in a row. Yes. And I got an achievement. And then Saturday and Sunday, I did something else. I did yoga, and then I took a day off. So it's fine. That's my day that I'm off. But I've already started my streak. I don't know if you can see it, like my streak right there.
Yeah, I see almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's like very early beginning, but that's when I started thinking, like, I'm so excited about the fall because I'll have my kids kind of out of my hair a little bit more, and I can have more consistent time and choose a time where I'm doing my fitness class every day versus sometimes it's like in the morning, sometimes it's in the afternoon, sometimes it's night. I'm just fitting it in wherever I can cram it in. I'd like to just have more of a routine. So that's what I'm starting. How about you?
This is more a business one, but I am going to be spending 2 hours a week writing. Kind of been really bad about writing and contracting out a lot of my writing, but I really enjoy writing. I just need like that structure.
Yeah.
So mine won't be every day, but I will have my calendar reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Mondays from 8
Mm-hmm.
till 10, I'll be writing. That is what
Mm-hmm.
I'll be doing. Nobody can bother me. And so that is my plan for the fall.
So my question is, are you going to be writing as a part of self-care and journaling and self-reflection, or are you going to be talking about poop?
We're talking about poop, of course, all day, every day. My
Okay,
self-care
okay.
stuff, I have my back and shoulder exercises in my calendar every day.
Mm-hmm.
I try to not miss more than one day in a row. And I use my Apple Calendar. I'd pull it up, but I have my patients on there too. So,
Yeah.
but back and shoulder exercises every day. And now it's a routine. I do it, after supper, after I've cleaned up the dishes. I'm like, okay, it's time to do my back and shoulder exercises. They're not the
Yeah.
most thrilling things. I don't love doing them, but I love not being injured.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing.
Yes, I got to get my husband into that because he needs a buy-in for why he should do the activities that his physio is recommending him. And so
Save money on physio.
yeah, well, we're tying it into he likes archery. So if his shoulder's screwed up, he can't do archery very well.
Mhm.
So if he does his exercises, it'll keep his shoulder limber and hopefully it won't seize up and he's still able to do archery. So sometimes you need a buy-in when it comes to doing something that maybe doesn't feel favorable in the moment, like exercising. But
Mhm.
if you can tie it to something that is motivating or you have a desired result for, it often feels a little bit more motivating and gives you that to just keep going. Like you
Mhm.
don't want to live injured. That's a good
No.
idea.
The other 23 hours and 50 minutes of my day, I prefer to feel good for. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yes,
can take the 10
absolutely.
minutes and do my shoulder and back exercises.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, let's wrap it up here. So, again, if you want to contact me for any reason, whether it's booking an appointment, you can contact me at Susan at alittlenutrition.com. And Andrea, your address again?
Admin at ignitenutrition.ca.
Excellent. So thanks for coming out tonight, and we'll have the replay loaded up for those that are listening on the podcast, as well as if you wanted to get that habit tracker, just take a look at the show notes or off to the side, and you'll see a link to grab that tool from us. We hope you have a great night and look forward to hopefully hearing from you in the fall as you're ready to make some health changes. See you
Bye.
later. Bye.